very good morning to you. Watching the Channel M Breakfast Show on Tuesday, the 3rd of February. I'm Nikki Dean.
I'm Byron Evans, and today, well, we all love talking about the weather in this country, but we have been given more reason for a good old chinwag than most. The highest snowfall in 18 years blanketed the country in a winter wonderland. Every single newspaper dominated with pictures like this. Oh, snow reads the headline.
Oh, snow! It looks exciting there, doesn't it? Look how it's brought people together. I mean, obviously there has been a lot of chaos caused by the weather yesterday, so we shouldn't make light of that, but that looks great fun, doesn't it?
There's been a cost to the economy of 1.2 to 1.1, depending on which paper you read, billion pounds to the economy.
It certainly has. However, there have been some winners in this, which we'll be talking about a little bit later on in our business news.
It does beg a belief, though, that our whole transport infrastructure comes to a grinding halt when we get a couple of centimetres of snow. The same way in the summer when it gets too hot, the tarmac melts. So...
Never right, is it? Just a quick fact before we move on. Biggest snowman ever. How big was it?
Don't know.
The answer for you. 122 foot it weighed, an astonishing £13 million.
There you go. There's a challenge for you, rascals. All of you school kids that have got the day off, try and beat that as a snowman feat. Yes. In a few minutes, all the latest sports news and business headlines. But first, let's get the latest news bulletin with James Webster.
Good morning. These are your top stories so far. As much as 12 more inches of snow is being forecast across the Pennines for later. The icy weather's moving further north. It's estimated a fifth of workers across the country didn't make it in yesterday, costing the economy millions. Some schools are expected to remain closed for a second day, and many planes, buses and trains are also disrupted. The widow of a cancer patient from here in Manchester says she will fight on to sue a bank for harassment after her husband died. This is Annette Edwards and David Lloyd speaking to us shortly before his death last week. She says they were pestered by phone calls from the Halifax, and she's now taking action under anti-stalking laws, saying she knows her husband would want her to carry on the fight.
I'm doing it for him, obviously, but he wanted to do it, and we're so close to the case. I won't let him down, and we feel as though there's a lot of other people probably now depending on us as well, and it's very important that we get that closure.
An airline passenger who was brought back from the dead on a flight to Manchester Airport's trying to find the man who saved his life. Darren Smith from Hazel Grove stopped breathing and had no pulse at 30,000 feet on a plane back from a holiday. A male nurse believed to be from Stockport stepped in to restart his heart along with another passenger, and now he's hoping to trace the lifesaver to thank him personally. 150 people who claim they were abused as children are planning to take legal action against Manchester City Council. They say they were assaulted at council-run homes in the 70s and 80s and are hoping to claim record damages, the authorities refusing to comment. Memory clinics are to be set up in every town across England to treat patients with dementia. 700,000 people suffer from the condition across the UK, and that figure's rising. GPs will also get more training spotting the first warning signs of it. Campaigners say more money's needed to research better treatments. Manchester's council is being accused of not doing enough to support Chinatown. Business leaders say the area's struggling because of the recession. As it celebrates New Year, we've sent Beverly Walkton to find out more.
It's Year of the Ox, and the Chinese celebrate what is predicted to be a year of prosperity.
Prosperity, mate, for Chinese and also for Chelsea fans.
He's about the Tiger Bear.
Prosperity and Tiger Bear, very traditional.
But there's little optimism in Manchester's Chinatown lately, as eating trends and the recession hit hard.
And what I found is that a lot of the younger generation, dining is only part of the evening out. They're not coming to Manchester to dine, they're coming to Manchester to have a night out. That night out might involve dining, but that's only part of it. The sort of culture of having a 3 hours long dinner is somewhat disappearing.
But it's not just social change. Chinese traders say the City Council is neglecting the area, instead focusing on modern shopping hubs like spinning fields. In Chinatown, inefficient waste collection, bad drainage and poor street cleaning led to an increase in rats last year. Not exactly the best way to entice new trade.
Is Chinatown suffering more than other places in Manchester?
I don't think Chinatown is suffering any more than any place else in Manchester. Manchester is doing extremely well in the face of a national recession at the moment. As we all know, there has been the credit crunch and cash is harder to come by for certain businesses, and that's rippling right throughout the economy.
Over recent years, visitor numbers have dropped by 40%. The Chinese business community admit they've run out of ideas to reinvent themselves, but the weekend celebrations at least hold some hope.
What's so special about the Chinese New Year celebration?
Well, it's just really different, and I think the children really enjoy the different culture and the big colors, the noise. We are supporting Chinatown because we're going to go and have lunch in a Chinese restaurant here. So hopefully, you know, if other people think that way, you know, you don't have to spend a lot.
Beverly Walkden for Channel M News.
Thanks, Beverly. I'll be back with the Channel M lunchtime news at 12 noon, and Andy Crane's here from 5 tonight with all the day's main headlines. Now here's Byron and Mike with today's sport.
Well, this morning, Mark Hughes would be forgiven for feeling a little bit more like Noel Edmonds as the deal or no deal debacle over Rocky Santa Cruz coming to Eastons comes to a bit of a grinding halt, Mike Bradley.
We did say last week it wasn't going to happen. I think £20 million is a bit much, even for someone of Rocky's stature. Maybe if Blackburn get relegated, City will be able to pick him up for half that during the summer. So if it's a case of brinksmanship from Blackburn, it's not worked. If it's one-upmanship from Mark Hughes, it has worked, and fair play to him. The big deal outside our teams, which we'll look at in a moment, is Andre Arshavin's deal to Arsenal from Zenit St Petersburg. That looks like getting a green light from Arsenal and the Premier League this morning. And Robbie Keane transferred to Liverpool for £20.3 million 6 months ago. Is back at White Hart Lane in a deal costing £12 million. So great bit of business there. But Rafa Benitez, are you going to win the league with Dirk Kuyt and Fernando Torres leading the line up front? I don't think so. So he could be another high-profile departure. Maybe not before the end of the season, but certainly during the summer break.
It is interesting why he actually made that. Why he didn't obviously need to sell any players.
He didn't need to sell him. I just don't think he gets on with Robbie Keane. But anyway, back to the transfers. A quick look at the transfers which did go through in the Premier League involving our clubs yesterday. Shay Given, as we told you yesterday, has finally moved in from Newcastle. Tal Ben Haim went to Sunderland and Joe went to Everton. Good luck, David Moyes. You've got yourself a real nugget there. Manchester City, James Chester left and went to Peterborough. Charles Nzogbia has left Newcastle, where his nickname was Insomnia. He's moved to Wigan. Henri Camara has gone to Stoke. Ryan Taylor has gone to Newcastle. So not the busiest transfer deadline day we've ever experienced in League One. Oldham Athletic got rid of Chris O'Grady. He went across the road to Stockport. Craig Davies went to Brighton. Stockport County cash strapped, I think, as we have to say. Good bit of business for them. Jimmy McNulty has gone to Brighton for £150,000. So good deal for them. I hope that steadies their financial ship.
And of course, County are in action this evening, and on the back of a great win against Hereford 4-1, they must be feeling buoyed.
Well, I hope so. They're playing MK Dons away tonight, so let's hope it's a good victory for them. But the thing we want to take a look at as we close for today is ice hockey. Manchester Phoenix on a run of defeats, 7 defeats from the past 8 games. Here's how they got on against Nottingham on Sunday.
Manchester Phoenix back to full strength, Nottingham Panthers back to 4 skaters.
I thought tonight, again, I thought we should have won tonight. I thought we were fine, and all of a sudden we lost a puck at the face-off, and next thing you know, they left a guy, and the next one we skated past it in the neutral zone, and again they capitalised on it. And then the shift later, they threw a puck in front of the net, hurts our defenseman's skate, and bloody goes in the net like an own goal. So. And it was just like, but there's no point in us jumping up and down and going crazy. We've got a big game on Wednesday against Basingstoke, and we'll get ready for that. So it's important for us to refocus. There's no point of going and jumping up and down now. It's what's happened has happened. But I mean, the guys really threw everything at them and played well. But I just thought we switched off sometimes, and I don't know if it was the fact that we had 3 games in 4 nights or whatever. But we just never. I just thought we were controlling the game until they scored.
Now for this morning's business news, and it's a double whammy this morning as we're joined by Kevin Feddy, Deputy Business Editor of the Manchester Evening News, and our guest Tim Nunes, Director of Business Development for Midas. A very good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming in. We'll start with you, Kevin, if I may, and as always on a Tuesday you're coming in with some business figures, and it's the turn of BP today.
Some news off the wires this morning, Nikki. BP, the oil giant, announced some profits for the year 2008, up 39% at £18.1 billion.
Wowzers.
Now, that follows Shell last week on £22 billion, so between them £40 billion. It follows oil price rises last year and an increase in production as well of 5% for BP. They're pumping out nearly 4 million barrels a day.
Blimey, that's not bad, is it? Now, we spoke a little bit, depending on which paper you pick up this morning, it's either £1 billion or £1.3 billion lost to the economy because of the weather yesterday. Nevertheless, whichever paper you're reading, that's a whopping amount. However, as always, you come in with some good news, because there were some winners, weren't there?
There were some winners, and locally as well, Nikki, because of the cold weather, we're seeing big increases in the sales of de-icer, for example. Tetrasil, based at Bury and Chadderton near Oldham, they've seen their sales go up 60% in the last few weeks because of the cold weather. That's good news for them. Electric blankets, duvets, hats, gloves and scarves, as you'd imagine, are selling well in the stores. Heating oil for the homes, they're going well, and the Cheshire-based Retailers Association has reported a big increase in sales there. And interestingly, cat litter has been flying off the shelves because...
I was following you up until that point.
Well,
why cat litter?
It's very unusual, but very interesting. It's used by a lot of people as gritting for their drives because it's cheaper than sort of buying the ordinary grit that you would buy in DIY stores and so on. So people are using that, spreading it on their drives and...
Now I
make
see.
sure they can reach their cars without slipping.
Perhaps a new cat bug going around. Anyway, enough said on that. Interest rates announced on Thursday. It's expected, or you predicted anyway, that there might be a 0.5% cut.
Yeah.
Business leaders sort of divided in the city,
There are
aren't
mixed views. Interest rates are 1.5% at the moment. I'm expecting a 0.5% cut to 1%, which would be the lowest ever. Again, continuing that decline, we've had a few cuts over the last few months. Now, it's interesting, speaking to business leaders, some are saying, yes, there've got to be more cuts. The Bank of England really must cut rates hard again to get consumers spending more money in people's pockets and revive confidence in business. But some people are saying that actually, hang on a minute, we want to see the impact of previous rate cuts, let that settle down, let that bed in, see what the impact is, and hang fire, and don't use all the ammunition in your weaponry by cutting rates so drastically, so continuously.
Good points for both arguments there, I suppose, and we'll see what happens on Thursday. Now, job losses, job cuts, big news obviously at the moment, but there have been some increases in some areas. I think this is a great time to bring you in, Tim. Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Show. You've got some good news for us in this area.
Yeah, I mean, as the M.E.N reported today on the business pages, the Training and Development Agency for Schools have announced that they'll be creating 250 jobs in the city, which is great news. It's an area that we've done a lot of work in terms of public sector relocations in particular, but it goes in tandem with a few sectors that, as Midas, we're sort of looking to target over the next couple of years where there is some economic downturn, essentially, to really look at where we can bring new jobs into the city to try and sort of balance the books, as it were.
OK, so I'll play devil's advocate here then. Why should businesses perhaps then expand, in particular in Greater Manchester? What's so attractive about the city?
Well, I think we feel confident about the city during this period, and I think that's down to a few different things. A, we have a huge skill base here. We're a large conurbation, the biggest outside London, but also we're the biggest economy outside London as well by quite some way. So companies can get access to not just UK markets, but also European markets from here as well, and the airport's essential in that in terms of the transport infrastructure as well.
Some good points there. Kevin, just very quickly, it seems there have been problems in the past that Manchester has very much booked the trend. Is that happening to some degree at the moment, despite the sort of terrible climate that we're in at the moment?
I think there are areas where Manchester is booking the trend, that's right. We had some evidence recently that in terms of alternative energy, green energy and alternative fuels and so on, in that sector the area is doing quite well. In public sector there's a lot of work going on there, and certain areas of healthcare as well are doing quite well. So there is recruitment, there are job opportunities, there are vacancies, but unfortunately the momentum and the wave is behind a significant number of job losses.
OK, so potentially Manchester, it still is attractive to businesses who are looking to expand. Let's hope that happens. Thank you very much, Kevin and Tim, for coming in this morning. Time now for a quick break, after which we'll have a spooky tale from Rochdale.